All right, welcome back, everyone. It's time for game 2 between Conduit Esports and Monkeys. And yeah, we know the timer is set a little bit longer, but the draft is already underway, so we're going to be joining right in with it. And it looks like the Syndra, once again, going to be the first ban, and the Udyr as well coming in from Monkeys Night. So nothing's changed too much yet, but we're going to have to see because, again, with the Fearless, at the very least, we're not going to see a Teemo, and I think all of us can be thankful for that.
Yes, Teemo is gone. And I mean, we were talking before, the first draft, 80 carries, getting pinched. 2 already gone, MF is next. How many more that these, that both Big News and Chrome alone can play? Not too many. Veigar banned away as well. Some of this anti-dive potential, but still jungle prioritization in the bans. Monkeys right now. Really harping down on these bans. It's the same 3. They're not want changing anything up. I would imagine that this is probably due to some inside knowledge. They've played against on a few times, maybe in scrims. They're really not happy to play against this. They want to shut down. Let's give me the Jinx actually picked this time, I hope. We did see Jinx picked in the fake draft, tricked you in the first game. But Jinx first pick, talking about AD carry, pinch it more. First pick an AD carry, second pick an AD carry. Jhin is the response.
A pretty interesting response too. I mean, it's already going to be showing that they're going to play pretty differently, at least in terms of their drafts, because Jinx is someone who's going to be able to scale, going to be able to deal a lot of damage later on, but Jhin, it more tries to help people get ahead, and with the Viego jungle, that is a perfect target to kind of help out. It's one of the few AD carries that isn't completely selfish. But lots of scaling picks already on the side of Conduit. Wow. I'm a little bit surprised. Jinx Azir first too. Not something you see every day.
It is a risk. If you get to that stage, this draft is so good from Conduit. I hope this isn't another fake draft because this is beautiful. Skarner Azir, such a solid combo these days. Being able to drive someone into the Azir wall after it's been used. Jinx and Azir, a great scaling duo. Tons of range, tons of on-hit damage. The question is, can you get there, right? Skarner as well. Not the strongest early game jungler. On the other side, the Annie for engage. The Jhin for more engage, the Viego to tie it all up with a nice bow. A lot of CC for Monkeys right now. No crazy hard carry other than this Viego, which can pop off. But the one thing on my mind right now is I'm worried. Does this Skarner die?
I mean, if they get ahead, for sure, but I see exactly what you mean. And I mean, they're even getting rid of a lot of those good tank killers from the top side. The Gnar, obviously it needs some time. It isn't something that can burst the Skarner down, but just through kiting can make Skarner pretty useless. And then Gwen, the most infamous tank killer on the top side.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there's still a few picks available. There's still the Fiora, there's still the Camille. Both of those could definitely work out. And I'm not sure if Small News plays them, but if they do, it'd be perfect as the Tom Kench. And this is Tom Kench support. Oh, they're going to be pretty safe there. As we're actually swapping team sides there. Looks like we had the wrong names, but we should be good now. But look at that protection. And without the tank killer, I mean, Viego's not going to be enough. I don't think there is a 5th pick that's enough to take these 3 tanks down.
I mean, maybe you go towards the Camille. That might be the only thing that slots in the draft. It's going to go with a Mundo. So not tank kill, but tank match. We're going to try to create more walls for the teams to play around. I love these drafts, and mostly I love Monkey's draft. I think it is so good. There is a risk. It is risky in the early game. Jinx has great clear. Azir has decent range, but against Annie, the stuns, Viego gank, it's really easy to land onto Cora on this Azir. And that was the answer to the Aurelia last game. Cora's getting solo kills, getting a big lead. Send 3 under tower. No Volibear this game, obviously, but it is a risk. If Monkeys get to 35 minutes, with Gathering Storm on both of their carries here, this game is so difficult for Conduit to play. They have nowhere near enough damage to get through the front line of Monkeys. They can't really land onto the back line easily at all as we re-enter the draft. Sorted out all of the images into the nice slots there. I love Jhin Leona. It's one of my favorite duos. In bot has great synergy, but Jinx Tahm, And any time that Jinx is engaged on, as long as Tom has ult available, Killer Fox is just eating big news, and the engage is completely over. I mean, I guess the range for Conduit is a big deal. Annie, the snap engage from Leona, from Annie, range from Jin. I'm loving Monkey's draft. I can't get past it.
I mean, there is one thing to be said, though. We talked about the carry potential coming out from the Viego, but Mundo right now is kind of a carry. Like, it is, don't get me wrong, it is still primarily a tank, juggernaut, whatever you want to call it, but the damage is real. The damage that Mundo's able to bring out in that late game can one-shot either of these two carries. So if they're able to get, if So Easy's able to get into the backline, that could be a potential condition for them as well. Just, I don't know. I think there are angles where Conduit could win out this game, even if it does get into that hyper late game.
I mean, Soaz as well had a great game last game, regardless of draft this game. That Renekton was a huge deal. Obviously, the matchup isn't as one-sided this time. You know, Shen, Mundo. Shen is going to want to play for the team fights a lot more, roaming, and So Easy on this Mundo. Going to want to play for the push more.
But either way, it's time for us to head into game number 2 of this best of 3. Can Conduit close out this series, or are Monkeys going to take us to a game number 3? That's going to be the big question, but already I'm seeing some pretty interesting things here. Grasp of the Undying on the support Tom Kench. Now, I don't know about you, but that's not something I see too often.
If you're able to get ahead in lane, send big news ahead through this game, Killer Fox becomes incredibly tanky and impossible to kill. It adds more to this brick wall comp of Monkeys. Big News might be caught completely sleeping here, does spot out and is able to ward and walk away. How do Monkeys respond to this and invade on their own? Could be a flash from Raven to trade flashes from Big News. Maybe look for an engage, but some safe playing across the map right now. And my favorite up in the top lane, Small News, just sitting in a bush, not moving an inch.
That's how you're supposed to play when you are one of those top laners. I mean, let's be honest, this Shen and Mundo, they're not going to be relevant until at least level 6. Except maybe for early ganks, but that's more going to be for the junglers trying to get those kills for themselves, or just trying to get those top laners a little bit ahead, because, I mean, both Shen and Mundo do scale quite well. I'm interested about this mid matchup as well, because it is the Electrocute coming in from the Annie. And I think, once again, once that level 6 comes through, everyone might be able to just one-shot Korra.
It allows for such an easy gank in this Viego as well. It's a great combo. Not something that you see too much, but this was something that I wanted both of these teams to go towards in this second game. I mean, Conduit did it last game, but Monkeys are doing it this game. Viego plus Annie is a scary combo. It's very easy to land the engage. Viego can come out of basically nowhere. Annie ult, or even just the unmissable abilities with the passive stacked up. Very easy to land onto Azir. You have to be like basically perfect with your positioning and movement. Past like level 3 onwards is the risk. Level 2 for Conduit.
Killer Fox is going to get hit by the Zenithblade, but Illicit Raven does take a tower shot for it, but Chromolone, I believe, definitely winning out on the trade, but that it was Ignite used. Although, actually, Killer Fox also used heal. I didn't even notice that. Just shows the healing amounts you get from that a level 1 heal. But we do get that split lane view right now. And So Easy definitely taking a decent amount of poke on the top side, but that's kind of expected. Mundo is an incredibly weak laner. Definitely someone you pick for that late game potential. But we'll see if they're able to come out of lane with enough items.
Outside of kills happening in these split cams, as a viewer, the best thing you want to be looking for is the push. Which side is the push going towards? It's the Azir in this mid lane, pushing out Annie, and then the bot side, obviously, we just saw going in the favor of Monkeys. In top lane, fairly even. There's a stun out onto mid, like we were talking about. Not too much damage right now. And another game of level 6s, right? Azir, great. Jin, Leona, Shen. All of these champions, Skarner, love their level 6 spike. They don't want to be skirmishing early level 3. It'll take some time to tick through. And the dragon will spawn. It's a very similar game to how we saw last game start. Turkey. Bit of roams coming through, but not too much action.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually starting off slow, but as we say that, they're going to be going in on a big news. Killer Fox able to buy a little bit of space with that Abyssal Dive, and the root actually landing, and now they're turning it around. Alyssa Raven starting to get pretty low, and with the flash, it's going to be first blood going over towards Killer Fox. Chrome is trying to get away. The Zap will add one more autos needed, and big news, off to a huge start in that bot lane. That's 2 kills for that Hyperscaler.
Yeah, that is big news for big news right there. 2 kills on the Jinx early in a lane where fairly difficult to land onto the Jhin effectively, especially when Raven's behind to cancel out the engage from Killer Fox whenever it happens. I remember from Batman, doesn't even really need to be there. It helps get the second kill, but just a clean 2v2 kill for Big News, finds the first blood. And it is a big deal. Oftentimes, we talk about first bloods not being the end of the world. This one is pretty bad. It's not both of the kills over to the Jinx, sure, but I'm sure everyone has seen Tahm Kench, especially support or top, with a gazillion HP, and he just 1v1s your 80 carry late game and wins.
So
easy, taking a lot of poke.
Yeah, that's just going to be a kill going to small news then. A wave state is so bad for so easy. This could be rough to come back to. At least has a TP.
Still a great start for Monkeys. A solo kill for small news. First big news, now small news. 3-0 in those first set of feats. Going over to Monkeys. While this bot lane play I was talking about is really rough, and yes, you're right, the wave state is horrendous for so easy. The game hasn't broken open just yet. It is a very solid gold lead though for Monkeys. Viego level 6, Annie level 6, things that we're talking about are ticking up, but you've still got a significant amount of time before Chrome Alone and Raven have their ults available. And they are impactful. They really drive this team comp forward. Jin's biggest strength is his range in these team fights. He's able to pull these dragons and play from a distance. He's not able to do that for like a while, where he's going to have to sit in lane down, 10, 15 CS. The BF sword now for Big News, which is a disgusting first buy. It's so hard to lane against that. And now, Batman as well, roaming down, looking for even more pressure.
Now the Abyssal Dive is going to get found onto both of them. And now they're looking to stun Chrome Alone into the wall. Not going to be able to get the stun, but not even needed. Batman going to be able to secure that kill for themselves. And these repeat ganks are definitely paying off right now. Big News didn't get that kill either, but I mean, Chrome Alone is at 29 CS, and that should be the dragon going the way of Monkeys.
It's still that more XP you're losing as well for Conduit. Chrome Alone really needs that ult. Raven really needs that ult. But to be fair, that play, a great gank from Batman, finding a good timing. I don't know how Killer Fox finds that double knock up there. Seems like both of the Conduit members weren't ready for it to happen, which you have to be in this lane. Leona can stop the Tahm pretty effectively for a while, give Jhin time and space to work with. I'm worried for this Viego. I really am worried that it's not going to be able to get in anywhere. Already, when we're talking about Skarner, who kills the Skarner if it gets ahead, if it's scaling, and it is. 1 kill, 1 assist, 50% kill participation. One of those was a solo kill. Maybe we see some more here as well, but some poking and prodding.
I mean, top lane, so easy. He's definitely on the losing end of it, but we'll throw out the maximum dosage now. And Small News does not have an ultimate that can be used in lane, but right now it doesn't seem like it's even needed. But Nazian is going to be here, going to be able to land the stun, and you wanted to see the Viego get ahead, and there we go. That's going to be a kill going over to Nazian. And so easy, we'll be able to get the shove as well, so that'll help break open the Mundo at the same time. Oh, but the Super Mega Death Rocket, not going to get the kill, just going to hit Nazian.
He cancelled the base there, which is a big deal. Have a look at this 1v1. So hard to tell when these Mundo lanes are going to result in a kill because how much healing he brings, but pops the ult here. Small News takes the worst end of this trade, but swings it back as soon as that ult starts to end. Flash forward to try to get the kill at the end here. It was a mistake, unfortunately, but a great gank from Nazian. And yeah, you're right. I was talking about, I think that this Viego needs kills. I think it needs to scale like the Jinx does, like this Azir is. And Viego does scale. He really, really does. Getting resets late game is a big deal. It's kind of funny because this game is going to come down unless it gets blown open the team fight later for one of these teams. It's going to come down to who gets the first reset, Viego or Jinx. Can Big News carry or can nothing carry? Cora looking for a shuffle.
Get the Shurima shuffle. Efron just gonna flash away, but that is a flash burned in, and he really needs that to play aggressively.
Yeah. And anytime you want to repeat gank now, super easy. And that's the only way that Efron gets out of Batman's ult. Impale will find him guaranteed next time. Well, guaranteed he places it correctly. But, you know, Annie, you're right. Really, her safety net is that flash, allowing her to play super aggressive, play up with the Viego. And this is strange because Conduit were the ones last game who had great synergy, who were playing really well together, and they draft the Annie and the Viego. Tibbers has popped to really no value there at all. I haven't seen the synergy from Conduit in their draft so far. Annie Viego, to me, Viego is at a point now where he wants to be fighting with Annie and skirmishing, and it hasn't happened just of yet. I mean, next Dragon 2 minutes away is a good opportunity, but Cora is having a free lane.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, Efron is still able to get the last hits as well. And this Annie, again, we're talking about the late game possibilities. When you only have 2 carries, I think they are going to be able to scale up quite nicely. Because there's only 2 of them and it's 3 tanks, they're not going to get any damage out of the Shen, the Skarn, or the Tahm Kench, especially of the support Tahm Kench. If they're able to find that flash Tibbers onto Core or onto Big News, that could swing the team fight completely. So at the same time, you could also argue that Annie hasn't been put behind either. The flash definitely is going to change a lot about what everyone's going to be able to bring out in the mid game, but it's still an opportunity for them to scale up. It's still an opportunity for them to just find that one pick, because that's all they really need.
And this was Monkeys that we were talking about last game with this issue, but Conduit, fortunately for them, don't have an issue where, you know, you're playing for a flash Tibbers engage in the bush. Chrome alone,
but the zap is going to get blocked this time, so Chrome alone can start DPSing backwards Deadly Flourish, but it's just going to hit a little bit of damage onto Killer Fox, but with the thick skin, we'll be able to heal most of that back up. So still a winning trade ever so slightly for Monkeys, but that's how that trade pattern should look on the side of Conduit.
That's scary. This Mundo, once this gets this Warmogs, I was watching a bit of Alaus. I think the Warmogs is the spike that we're looking for this Mundo to start really impacting the top lane. And he wants to roam or push. But bot lane, look at this CS gap that's been generated. Can't see it right now, but 30 CS as we take another look back. Oh, all right, as we split the cams. Big News, he is an issue. And we were talking about Cora last game. Who's going to be the one to stop her from doing anything? This game, it's Big News, significantly ahead on a scaler, who will absolutely carry a team fight with resets. It will be very, very difficult to, you know, chunk through the front line of Monkeys and find onto the Jinx. You know, there isn't really dive for Conduit at all. Your Solar Flare, sure, disruption completely. Mundo is an issue in a team fight like that, but there's no dive at all. When you can just stand and be this brick wall comp like I've been talking about, you really can't get through and get onto the Jinx and the Azir, who have a ton of range. Yeah, this CS gap in bot is it's scary.
But actually, Efron gonna be the target, and actually they both end up with
no.
their ultimate. But now in the meanwhile, they have Nastian looking on a core, and Efron does not have enough damage. Tibbers was behind. Now the Heartbreaker is gonna get used, so Nastian will be able to get the kill trade. So it's a 1-for-1, and I guess most importantly, the flash was used by Nastian for that play, so slight victory for Monkeys, but still, even trade, and both the carriers are the ones that get the kills there.
Super Mega Death Rocket sails past out my window. We take another look back at this replay here. Cora pushing in the lane, has, you know, covered by Batman here. And no flash, right? No flash on this Annie. Cora has flash. Great dodge of the stun, but just misses the ult. Flashes away, and then Batman completely whiffs as well. It's actually miraculous that they're able to get as much as they do out of this, Monkeys, because that should be completely over. Missing both the engages in that mid 2v2. And this Viego's getting kills. That's an issue, right? Viego needs time to scale items, and it can be the one to take down this Skarner, which is something that I'm still going to be talking about. I am worried the Conduit won't have an answer to this Skarner for the rest of the game. He's got this heart still stacked online. Nice invade and steal there. Bit brutal, but it's Hexol again on a Zia Jinx. That is so much range, AoE slow potential. These are some high-paced games in terms of at least the Drakes.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not high-paced otherwise, but...
No.
I mean, you were talking about that CS lead in the bot lane, but there's a similar one happening in the jungle as well. Nassian starting to get pretty far ahead there. Almost 50 CS in the lead. And I'm guessing that's mostly because Batman has just been trying to get Korra ahead, trying to make sure the rest of the teammates kind of playing the enabler as Alyssa Raven. Looks like there was a little bit of a trade in the bot side, but no ultimates have been burned yet. So Chrome alone is getting pretty close to the collector. I suspect we'll have it on this reset. Yeah, there it is. So they can definitely start fighting now. But they still definitely have to look on a big news because Killer Fox is not going to be going down to this Jhin anytime soon.
No, absolutely not. And the biggest deal about this jungle gap, not only the gold from the CS, the kills, but the XP is significantly in favor of this Viego. 2 levels now. You're stacking these Drakes. 2 minutes on this next Drake. And then what? Then you walk in to the Annie ult. And this fed Viego now who will diff your Skarner at this point in the game because fortunately Batman hasn't really been farming effectively enough. Maybe, I know that Viego does just clear significantly faster than Skarner does, and there is some part of taking a little bit of the L, and he is going to have a CS lead on you. But this next Dragon fight for Monkeys, which is a really strong point for them, minute and a half away now, I'm not confident that they can win this fight without significant casualties or win it at all. Top lane though, small news.
Yeah, it's just one of things, don't get baited. We'll be able to just pop the maximum dosage, but now Nassian coming in from the side. Now this is where things could get interested. This one who does need to try
from
and dodge away and will be able to go in with the Shadow Dash and the flash afterwards. Now Korra looking for the Emperor's Divide, not going to be able to find it, but Nassian's still going to use that Heartbreaker as well. So once again, just a lot of cooldowns used, but nothing really comes out of it.
And Dragon in 50 seconds. That TP pull is big off of Korra's back. Efron as well. Had to use the TP down to the bot lane. Round about a little bit earlier. So it's really just these top laners who have TP. And Small News has ult, right? He doesn't need the TP in general. I'd love to see Korra rotate down towards the bot lane, but looks like Herald is going to be the option for Monkeys right now. It is good that you're able to pull resources off of Viego because he is an issue. And he will be in these fights. Taking even numbers fights at this point in the game, I see this all the time happen. When you're playing scaling comps, especially in the lower divisions, and you start getting ahead, like Big News, Korra are right now, there's this kind of subconscious or conscious decision to, we need to force all the time now.
Is going to be there. They're looking towards Killer Fox. Ellie Flourish is going to be there, but it's still going to be the top catch. They even burn Timber. Stand United going to get used as well, and we'll just be able to jump away. I mean, that's definitely a very bad sign. That's a support tank. They still have 2 other true tanks on their team. And that's a lot of major cooldowns burned. The Dragon is up. It is that Hex tech. But looks like the side of Monkeys, they're just going to turn tail towards mid lane instead. The tier 1 is quite low. Nassian is walking forward. They're just going to clear this out. But neither side really wants to full commit onto another gauge. But now, Soulflare is going to be there with Small News. I'm happy they didn't go for that because that could have been a terrible target. But Batman looking for it with a flash. Chrome alone going to be able to flash in response. As both these 2 sides still trying to posture for this Dragon, but neither one really able to get the priority they need.
Big News with no cleanse this game. You see has to flash whenever the engage is bound to hit. I think that flash trade, you know, Skarner for Jhin favors Conduit. Jin's flash is not as important when he's going to be ulting from 10 kilometers away. And instead this Skarner does need flash to gap close onto people like the Jhin. This Drake has been started up. Killer Fox in a bush on vision. No flash on either of the carries for this fight.
But Tibbers is back up. Efron going to land it just onto Small News for now. Batman starting to get pretty low as well. Heartbreaker has been used. Batman is going to be the first one to go down, and that's a shutdown going towards Chrome Alone. And now Chrome Alone, look at that move speed. It gets that fourth shot onto Small News as well. And now Big News is going to be the main target. Will definitely go down there to the Heartbreaker. Is now in the back of the Deadly Flourish. Nice snipe. They're going to take down Small News. And Killer Fox is the only survivor. Cora was just not part of that fight. So Conduit got to do whatever they wanted, and they'll reap the rewards with this dragon.
And no TP from before. Cora covering the top side gank from Conduit. This is something I talk about quite a lot on cast. You are playing a scaling team comp. And I just mentioned it previously before one of those push baits. You don't need to force your 2 dragons up. That's 20 minutes before enemy team can get soul. For you to kill minions and farm and scale, there's a top tower that's 1 HP for you to take with your Shen who has TP. If you want to TP down or ult down even to, you know, play around the team fight around Dragon, if you manage to get a good look. These are crucial team fights that get lost for monkeys, and it happens quite a lot in a lot of teams that I watch. And I did kind of just mention before, Jinx only has 1 item. Realistically, you want like 6 on Jinx before you're like, okay guys, let's just force in their face. No flash on Jinx, no flash on Jhin. It negatively affects the Jinx significantly more. Like I was talking about, this Jinx, her only way of living through a bunch of disengage is the flash. Once it's used, that's over. Obviously, the other one is the Devour from Killer Fox, which was used on Small News, a target that isn't as important, I should say, as your Jinx is in this team comp. Obviously, having a frontline is super important, but that's your carry that has no way of getting out, forcing that team fight. You lose the dragon anyway, but on top of that, you give over kills, a shutdown over to this Viego. Nassian continuing to be a threat in the minds of Monkey. And what is the answer?
Trading happening here, but So Easy. If So Easy is able to back away, has the Warmogs now, so we'll be able to just get that HP right back. We'll just be in a, we'll just be able to continue winning out those trades, because if Small News deals 30% HP, So Easy deals 10. So Easy's gonna re-heal those 30. But now it looks like Monkeys, they're taking control of this topside jungle. Efron, I don't know if they've spotted each other out, but it looks like they're just gonna back away. Efron would have been in a very dangerous spot there, but they decide not to stay. They're going to back out. And it looks like that invade's just going to get them a little bit of vision, but nothing else.
There's still this map getting fought over right now. Map pressure, map positions. But there's so much XP getting split for this Jinx. I am concerned that Big News isn't as accelerated as I want him to be. Cora playing this top lane well. The top side, I should say. Getting the side lane farm, scaling more, you know, level up now, a significant amount of CS, but it doesn't matter as much for this Jhin. When, like you said it on the draft, he's going to be a utility AD carry. He's going to play with his team to set up, to continue the CC, to play from a distance for vision. Herald used in mid. Let's see if he, see if Batman has his license. He doesn't. Unfortunately, needs to go back to school, I think, on the Dragon Race. So I assume he just got in and then realized that he's probably dead if he charges it, but why get in the Herald?
I mean, the Batmobile just handles differently, you know, it's a lot closer.
Sure, he's not used to it.
It's easier to move around there. But, I mean, sorry, I do want to bring this point up because I did say this at the draft. The carries are not going to be Chrome alone, Efron to some extent.
Yeah.
But what I call the carries is going to be Nassian and So Easy. And both of them have massive leads right now over their counterparts. But interesting play coming out of Monkeys. They're going to get started on this Otacon. But Efron is here, but Nassian is still quite far away. Do they have the DPS to just take this down? TP is going to be coming in from So Easy as well. This should definitely be the site of the next fight. 2300 HP, and they will be able to just secure. But now, how about the team fight afterwards? Killer Fox is going to be kind of the main target for them, but I mean, it's just going to be a silver lining. Efron's going to be able to get that kill, but nothing more. Although, as I say that, Nassian looks like they want to keep going, but starting to take a decent amount of poke from Big News. They will back a win. That's kind of a free objective going in favor of Monkeys.
Man, still, what I said before continues to ring true. you've got a scaling comp with Jinx, with this Azir, even Skarner Shen. Like, these are tanks that need items to be very threatening. This overforce over and over and over again for objectives that don't really mean that much. Like, Atacon is pulling Atacon and securing Atacon there going to win you the game? Probably not. Is dying around Atacon going to lose you the game? Yes, it is. It's going to make your game state a lot worse because you give over Atacon instead, and you're dying around objectives that don't matter. Jinx only has 2 items. I would love to know all that Thor. Maybe some brawling over here in the mid lane. Still, this ARAM style continues to be played. TP from mid. Dragon in 10 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like they're both just vying for that mid control. And so easy at the very least is definitely just a proper tank now. But at the same time, Core at level 15 already has 2 items, has the Leandries most importantly. So Corey can definitely run through these tanks. I think that's what gets scary. So he's definitely going to have to be a little bit more conscious of the positioning. Nassian is going to get started on the Dragon. They do have a little bit of a death brush being set up. And it looks like they may just try and have Batman go for the steal instead. But they have the Shield of Daybreak. It's just going to be that small stun for now. Neither side really wants to commit, but lots of poke onto Batman. And Batman going to be able to go into the middle of everyone, but the Impale not able to find enough targets. As actually Chrome alone just having that shed in their face. And now it's going to be that Shadow Dash, and it's going to get 2. As now so easy, trading with Korra. And Nassian is still alive in the back line. Does not have the Heartbreaker though. With the Heartbreaker, this is doable. And comes in, not going to be able to get the steal, and will get taken down as well. Monkey's Knights, they get 4 for 1 and the Dragon. So they're on soul point, and it looks like they want to take us to a game 3.
In Jin's positioning, I heard the laughter in your voice upon seeing him just stand there, completely stone-faced, shooting. I feel like a mistake from Chrome alone to be that far forward in the engage, not get off of it. You aren't providing really any utility to your team. Walk forward, front to back onto Batman here, who impales your entire front line. Tibbers will split the fight, but look at this. Small News just stands there tanking the curtain call here. And crucially, Nassian just stuck in the pit, can't do anything. You've been talking about how much of a carry Nassian has to be. He does basically nothing in this fight because he's out of position. The setup for his team isn't the best. Bomb plants back in to try to steal the Dragon, but now Soul Point, Hex Soul Point at that for Monkeys, and they're back in a pretty commanding spot outside of really overforcing again, which, I mean, has been the story of this game so far. Giving time for Jinx to scale. And you're in a great spot. I mean, another 4 minutes to get gold on Jinx before Soul is up. Don't need to pull Baron at all. I mean, Conduit, it's not the end of the world. Talk about the team fight right now. You've got time. Come up with a different plan. How are you going to land onto the back line of Monkeys and take out this Azir, take out this Jinx that haven't really been... I'm not seeing any, you know, faker roads being pulled out from Korra. It's just some solid front-to-back style from these 2 ranged carries. And Nassian looks up at the incredible gap he must close to win this game.
Yeah, but I mean, they can definitely still get back in because Heartbreaker is such a good snowballing tool, like just within those team fights. If they can pick one off, they can turn that into another, into a third. But they kind of both teams have that ability right now. The Jinx is going to have that get excited. So it really depends on who's able to get the first kill. And I think that's what really ends up deciding who wins these fights. Whoever's able to get the first pick off can just snowball it from there. But it's about who can get it. And right now, Batman's been finding quite a few solid picks just with that Ishtal's impact and that Impale. And it's up to Efron and Nassian, I think, to try and get that play done. As I think I pronounced Nassian's name like maybe 10 different ways so far this game. I do apologize for that, but
talked about it before that we were going to be on the same page, and then I don't think we were on the same page. So my mistake. Is what it is.
Yep. But either way, they are still in the game. I think once they lose the soul, that's when things get really difficult. Because then they're going to be able to kite out this front line so much easier. And like you mentioned before, the range that they have on Core, the range that they have on Big News, they're going to be able to apply that That zap coming in from the Hextech Soul so often, so easily. And I think that's going to make the game very, very unplayable for Conduit Esports. So it's really just going to come down to them finding the picks. I think that will be the only option if they do lose it. Now Killer Fox just going to be blocking it for just going to clear the pick. And they have their AD carry support and jungle there, and there's still nothing they can do about that.
Both summoners will be available for this upcoming dragon fight. If both teams decide to wait out that long, if Monkeys don't decide to pull a Baron early. I mean, it's so easy on this Mundo. You're talking about being a carry for this team earlier, and I agree. A very big brick wall to get through for Monkeys. But So Easy hasn't really found the value that this pick can bring. Has the Heart Seal as well after the Warmogs with 87 stacks. If you're a jungler, that's fine. Not if you're a top laner. Baron has now been started.
We're at 4K, and Nassian doesn't have the vision. It's just going to go down.
Wow.
They're going to get the trinket just in time to watch it go the way of Monkeys. And they seem to just kind of not running away with this game, but just kind of strolling through this game. They haven't really needed to have those big plays, those big team fights. They're just kind of going to where they need to take what they want. And unfortunately, Conduit just can't really do anything about it right now.
It's a great look, a great change up from how they played in game one, considering how rough parts of that game looked for Monkeys. Specifically the team fights, which haven't looked bad this game at all. The fact that Monkeys are able to sit back after I've had criticisms this game of them not doing that, of overforcing, and now say, okay, maybe we should stop. Maybe we should.
Yep, J-Meadow seems to have DC'd as well here, but in the meanwhile, the Dragon is going to get started. This is the Soul, and it looks like right now, Monkeys, they're going to be the first ones on site. They're going to be the first ones around this objective. They still have Small News pushing out on the top side. Does have the Stand United, as the TP is going to be coming through for So Easy. And they're actually going to give up the area, interesting enough. So it's going to be Conduit that have the first play here. It looks like they want to fight instead. They're looking for Batman, and because of that, Batman's gonna get the Soul. And now what about the team fight right now? Oh, and it looks like Cora is gonna go into the middle of everyone. That Emperor's Divide just kind of running in 1v4, and we'll take down Alyssa Raven as well. Now 1v1 versus So Easy. Not too much they can do about that. Nassian, in the meanwhile, was trying to get something done in the backline, but it just doesn't have the damage, does not have the carry potential. So that's a 3-for-2 in favor of Conduit Esports. And most importantly, they get the Soul, as now So Easy could be the next target. The Zap not going to land. Same with the Tongue Lash. And so they're just going to ignore this Mundo. So Easy just going to be trading a little bit with Killer Fox. But now Big News turning back around. Gets a couple autos. Abyssal Dive not going to be able to find it, but just needs a few more hits on the Super Mega Death Rocket's going to be able to clean it up and make that a 4-for-2 with everything said and done. Monkeys walk away with the Soul.
Soul and Baron on Zia and Jinx. These items are coming in. Let's take another look. Mid and ADC. It is massive.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really where the issue is coming through. Big News is big news right now. 3.5 items, almost up to 4. Cora is just kind of massive as well. And they could still look for picks, and I think they kind of have to, but when the triple frontline is there for Monkeys, it's so hard to find those angles. Because typically you will have your tank carry out the just kind of positioned in a way where you're blocking the most dangerous engage. But because you have 3, you have Killer Fox, you have Batman, you have Small News, they can just kind of protect you from whenever. And on top of that, those tanks also have really powerful tools. The Stand United, the Devour, just all of that really changed this up. It's So Easy. Needs to try and reset and will actually get interrupted. So this should be So Easy going down. We'll try to trade a little bit of damage. That's going to be a kill
Did a
going
lot.
over to Korra. And that could be quite a bit of damage done in the bot lane as well. Without so easy, they lose a lot of their front line and a lot of their back line pressure.
I mean, there isn't really any threat at all. These solar flares haven't been landing. I love what you brought up there. About the basically get out of jail free cards that Monkey has with these ults, right? Devour, Stand United. It's not even just that they're like great team fighting ults. You've got this back line and this great front to back that's really hard to deal with. And then if you manage to break through it, you have
Batman
two
almost getting
free...
first down, but now Efron
Whoa.
also almost getting first down. Super Mega Death Rocket is going to get the snipe. Big News manages to land that. And now will clear away the tier 3 turret. I was also going to start aiming towards the inhibitor core, taking quite a few shots from the curtain call, but not enough quite yet. We'll be able to just dash out to safety, and now they can turn right back. So that's another bunch of major cooldowns burned. Zap is going to land on a Chrome alone, but it looks like Alyssa Raven going to be the target instead, and we'll go back over to Venom's Blade. Stand United used just in case, but I think at this point, Monkeys should be able to just end the game. It is 5-on-3. They still have the soul. And So Easy just doesn't have the ultimate. And without maximum dosage, the Mundo isn't as tanky as you would think. Chrome alone is going to get hit by the Emperor's Device, so that's just going to be it. Heartbreaker used by Nastian as well. And this is just a game. There's just too much damage coming in from the side of Monkeys. They will be able to win game number 2, and they're taking us to a game number 3.
DCs before the game's over. Conduit with a very convincing first game. Monkeys bounce back. An important performance. It looked stable the entire game. It wasn't a blowout. It wasn't dominant until later in that game. Look at that damage. But it was stable the whole game. The first kills in bot lane, the repeat.
They were able to just kind of keep that stability. Like, they're just constantly ganking over into the bot, so they were able to take down the Jinx. Or, sorry, not the Jinx. They were able to take down Chrome alone on the Jhin. They were able to keep Killer Fox behind as well, and just never really gave any room to breathe. And once you got Big News ahead, once Korra was also given quite a bit of help as well, coming out from Batman. Batman, I mean, sorry, 3.7k damage on the Skarner. This just shows that Batman was playing to keep the team ahead, was trying to keep the team safe, and that's exactly what he was able to do this game. But I don't think I've ever seen such a low damage number. I mean, the Leona almost doubled the DPS, just for context there. But either way, that'll be it for game number 2, but we do have a game 3 on the way. Winner takes all, and we'll be able to secure that 3-1 record for this season of Titan Esports Divinity. We're going to go to a short break, but when we come back, it'll be draft for game number 3. So we'll see you soon. Hello, hello, and welcome back, everyone. We are back for draft number 3 between Monkeys and Conduit Esports. And again, whenever these two organizations meet, it's always a ton of fun. It's always a blast, and it's always a close series. Now, Jay Beto, now that we're heading into game 3, and you've got to watch those first 2 games, or I guess I'll get back to that after Jay Beto needed to take a little CS step, but either way, the draft is going on, and I mean, I guess I can answer my own question. I think between these two teams, it's going to come down to the draft. I think either one of these two teams can definitely come out on top. They can definitely win these games. They've shown in game 1, it was Conduit Esports that just kind of took control from the start and were able to hold on to it for really most of the game. And then in games 2, it was Monkeys that did the exact same thing. And I think for both of those games, it really was just the draft. Whichever draft was able to get them started earlier, whichever one was a little bit easier to play in terms of execution, I think that's what really gave the advantage. But actually, a little bit of an interesting change-up in bans. Jarvan is actually going to be left open right now. So Conduit typically banning that away third, but this time they're going to elect to ban the Braum. And yeah, just like that, Batman is going to lock in the J4 there. I'm curious why they banned the Braum. It must be for a very specific pick that they want, and I'm curious if we'll see that in our first 2, but it's just going to be the Shin Zhao for now. As welcome back. I was just about to ask you.
Oh boy, I heard it all.
All right, there you go. Well, what are your
I agree
thoughts
with what
for
you said.
this
I agree with
game?
your answer. I think that draft is super important. I think that these teams have both showed some fun having, I'll call it, but some very solid drafting. Specifically around the jungle, around the mid, and around this AD carry position. I am a big fan of both of what is being played right now. I love Jarvan, I love Xin Zhao. Picking the Smolder against the Jarvan is great, it allows you to get out. Picking the Kai'Sa with the Jarvan makes a ton of sense. The CC, Jarvan, Orianna, these are really solid comps. I was making a joke to you before about when we were on break, and I'm going to make it now live, that it just still feels like teams will play random things in game 1, game 2, and then the longer the Fearless draft goes on, they just start coming up with really synergistic drafts. The Mel for range to play into the lane of Orianna can get caught by Jarvan, but keeping that distance could be a bit of a worry for Batman.
I mean, it definitely could be. But at the same time, Mel also has no way of getting out of the Cataclysm. And so when you have that Shockwave combo, if you're able to time it perfectly where it's not going to get blocked, I mean, it could be just, Mel could just disappear. It kind of is that double-edged sword. The range advantage is definitely on the side of Conduit right now, but I think the all-in advantage is definitely on Monkeys for now.
And the scaling overall, right? Kai'Sa, great late-game scaler in general, but Smolder, infinite scaling. Jarvan Orianna is very mid-game focused. I mean, later on in the game, still can find one-shot potential onto something like a Mel. But with the Rakan, a ton of engage to continue on. Kai'Sa, Neeko, the response. Neeko, very, very dominant support right now with the Q cooldown, mana cost, and a great combo with Kai'Sa, one of the most popular that we've seen across even pro regions. Sion rounding out the front line. This draft from Monkeys is, I'm all for it. Like, I am in love with this draft right now.
The one question I do have to ask, though, because Neeko, in terms of this last patch, was probably the most affected individual champion in the game, besides maybe Senna. Incredibly lower damage. I think 20 baseline for every single level for Q. That's going to be, and that's per charge. So if it hits 3 times, that's 60 less damage. The overall combo down by about 110. I mean, do you think Neeko is still good as a support just because of that lockdown potential?
I think we're right now, yeah, a bit more scaling, but you're right, a lot less base damage until that last final rank. Trying to push out of the support role is basically the change there. I think Neeko can still find value in support because of other options in her kit. It does make her laning weaker, so maybe it's not a pick very early in the draft, but in something like a Rakan Smolder, where the Neeko in the support role isn't played there for that base damage. It's still around the CC to play around Kai'Sa to try to catch Smolder out and basically give guaranteed engage confirmed engage for Monkeys. And there's 2 of those, right? Because Jarvan Orianna, if you're able to land correctly, both Cataclysm and the Shockwave, can't get away from that without flashing it. The Nico as well adds another layer on top of that of you can follow up, you can do before, you can do it in a completely different team fight. The Scion, again, is one of these things where I'm worried is there going to be how do we kill the Scion? Smolder later on with the true damage will chew through it eventually, and Aatrox, great in these team fights as well if you know what you're doing, but the engage from Monkeys is not only strong, it's consistent, but it's flexible, which is really important.
I mean, they have options all over, but at the same time, looking over at Conduit, it seems like their kind of quote-unquote engages is more to peel for the backline. They definitely have the range advantage for most of these fights, and I'm thinking that's going to be their strategy going into this. The Mel's going to be able to reach quite far. The Smolder, deceptively long range. Once you get those 125 stacks, that Q goes quite far. A Chew goes really far. And then obviously the big ultimate bomb. That's a lot of damage, a lot of just overall space being created. If they're able to continue this poke out from that range, they could definitely take someone out, or at least poke them so low that they cannot stay in the fights anymore. It's going to be pretty interesting to see which of these two compositions does come out on top, because we have a poke comp that scales really well, and we have an all-in comp that could just end early. I mean, okay, so I'll pose you this question. This is how I'm going to word it. Which one do you think is easier to execute?
I'm going to say Monkeys. I think that they're both difficult. I think that finding the correct time to engage, the correct target in the right moment, doing things like pulling flashes, timing them, and landing continuously onto the same target is quite difficult. However, pressing poke ability seems easy on paper, but it's so difficult because the game for poke comps is actually to not get engaged on. That's how you play poke. You just can never get touched, and if you do, you lose. Another thing with this poke comp as well is that Smolder and Mel have a great time at denying sieges. When they're under tower, maybe not against the Baron, but holding these towers is a very easy job for Smolder and Mel. I think it's really going to come down to the vision for Monkeys. How is the vision set up? If they're walking blind into endless poke, they can't win. There's not enough tank. Scion will tank some, but Smolder eventually doesn't care. If Monkeys have great vision, and on the other side, Conduit have very little vision at all, you're walking forward into a very flexible brawl dive comp, multiple angles. You can go on this target, you can go on that target. Cancel Smolder flight with Nico ult. You can land onto Mel very easily. It's going to be very bloody in the late game. Maybe a quieter start like we've seen, but these team fights later on, I mean, there's Kai'Sa Smolder. There's a lot of damage going to be done.
And I think it's going to be fun to see just how many stacks Chromalone's going to be able to get, especially how early on. Because one big thing about the Kai'Sa is that the Kai'Sa is very short ranged. So that's someone that you can kind of get a couple of early stacks on, at least to the point where you get those 20 stacks where you finally have that AoE, and then you can really start scaling up quicker. I'm also curious because you see this sometimes in pro, but also I've noticed even in some pretty high tier competitive leagues, they're just not going to be giving those jungle camps over to the Smolder. Because a lot of the time, the Krugs, the Raptors, that's a lot of little individual things that do give them quite a bit of stacks. But either way, it is time. It is the best of 3, and it is game number 3 between Monkeys and Conduit Esports. The winner of this gotta go 3-1 in this league. And when it comes to the playoff race, because we're about halfway through the season, I think this is the halfway point for the 7-week season. Being 3-1 means your chances are so high to get into the playoffs. So both these teams definitely going to be giving it their all.
At the end of the world for either of these teams, they do lose, but it is super important to win all of these matches. And I mean, map score is important too. Obviously, we know that that's going to be 2-1 to one of these teams. So even if you lose, you don't feel terrible. You didn't get 2-0. You get to keep that score. Smolder, to me, it has just started to become like Mr. Fearless in a way. Feels like maybe later on in some pro regions, but game 4, game 5, when in doubt, pick Smolder and scale. Like it does kind of end up becoming that. I think both of these drafts have a ton of synergy, which I'm very thankful for. that I'm not, confused about where these picks are slotting in and how they're going in the draft. You're talking about the Smolder having a pretty decent time into Kai'Sa on the early stages of the lane, and he's able to poke out Big News quite a lot. And Nico can bridge that gap quite significantly. If Killer Fox is, base damage is down, yes. If Killer Fox is still able to land those, it does make the lane harder. No cleanse for either of these AD carries is a big deal too. And Kai'Sa doesn't really need it this game, but no cleanse on Smolder for the Nico, no cleanse on Kai'Sa for the potential of the Rakan, the quickness. Pretty cool. I love that mechanic. You can cleanse, you have to cleanse Flash if he ults and Ws you. Very unique. But PTA Kai'Sa, actually. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm interested. I don't really know what my thoughts are about this. It's typically Hail of Blades or Lethal Tempo can be better, a little bit better in the team fights, but worse early game as Kai'Sa's not going to be able to stack that very easily.
I mean, quite a bit of trading happening on the top side, though. So easy. Going to be flashing forward, looking for small news, and that's just going to be for his blood. I saw them trading, but it's so often we were baited by the top lane, just kind of brawling it out and then backing away, but so easy, knew the limits, going to get first blood there, and on a Scion, dying not with the wave under tower is so bad. It gets so much more difficult to play. It's still definitely not doom and gloom yet. Small news eventually will just be able to out-sustain or just out-tank most of the damage, but definitely going to be a good start coming in for Conduit.
Yeah, it's a bit of a random, normally you see all-ins, level 1, level 2, finding solo kills with Ignite. No Ignite in the top lane right now, just purely base damage. Gank into mid right now.
For the Audacious Charge is going to force out the flash, and actually Nassian just going to be able to get the kill as well, that 3-down strike. And it looks like Conduit's here to play for this game number 2. They are coming out swinging.
Yeah, they weren't happy with the performance at the end of the last game. Locking in for the beginning of this one. Xin Zhao off to a start. Aatrox off to a good start too. Pushed down in bot lane for Monkeys. Batman is playing down there as well. It's negated very effectively by Chrome alone and Raven. Both of them, they just don't lose anything. Flash on Smolder, it is a big deal, yes, but Nico's quite a while off of ult and had to use Flash himself to try to force that summoner spell. So even when level 6 is hit for Killer Fox, it's not like you can Flash Pop Blossom. After that, the CS is even in bot. 2 kills on the top side. Means Conduit is in a very solid position. Raven
going to aim on a Big News. Definitely not going to have enough to kill, but that's going to be quite a bit of damage dealt. And now Efron could be the next target, but the Solar Snare going to buy enough space, but that's still going to be a little bit of poke landing onto Efron there. And it seems right now those 2 kills are kind of what's separating the gold. At the same time, so easy. Almost doubling Small News right now in the CS. And in fact, Small News was forced out of lane again. Just forced to walk back into lane now. Oh, so easy. Just really getting a massive advantage up there.
Look at the early XP diff in top as well. It will get bridged quite quickly due to comeback mechanics, but level 3 to level 5 right now. Nassian looking again in mid.
When it becomes lightning,
it's fine when it becomes lightning.
Not going to continue on. There's really no play once Core is underneath the turret. Efron and Nassian just don't have enough damage yet to just burst Core in those situations. But Manu's just got back in lane. Look at that HP bar. So easy, just landing every single Darkened Blade right now.
In the prior for mid and top means that Nassian can really do anything he wants. That's genuinely invade Gromp for free, can go Dragon if need be. And this is a huge deal for this top lane because Sion is typically, oh my god, Sion is typically a weak side, he's the weak side king. He will sit there, he will push wave, the jungle will never come top, but there is a jungle in top side. So easy takes a tower shot, but I don't know if Small News can win this, even with the knowledge that Nassian's coming.
I think there's gonna have the shield available, but yeah, looks like it's still gonna be the kill. But Nassian will get traded by the turret. Yeah, I think it's still very difficult because one so easy did not have the HP to go in. so hard to get the proper tankiness underneath those turrets. But I mean, either way, it's going to be another kill going over to So Easy. They're in a much better spot than they were. And it's still a big wave missed by Small News. There's just nothing you can do about that. 21 CS gap right now. As interestingly enough, Efron's DPing down to the bot side. It looks like they're aiming for Batman. They're going to be able to get the grand entrance, and Batman really does not have anywhere to go. Efron just going to get that with the Solar Snare. And again, it's just everything Conduit right now. 1.5k gold lead at 6.5 minutes. That's a very sizable lead this early.
Yeah, the 1 kill getting traded back for Monkeys. It feels good for Small News, but it doesn't really feel that good for Monkeys as a whole. Conduit all across the map right now, just in control.
Oh no, Killer Fox is going to be the next target. Grand entrance is on cooldown, unfortunately, so not going to be going in there.
I mean, spotting Batman on that ward, Efron immediately TPing back after basing, has a spike. It's just good team play, good synergy between all the players. You know, it shows a synergy between comms as well, which is really important in these games. Like, it's not a best of 5, so there's obviously more nerves to be had in future games. But when you're down, or 1-1 in a game like this,
onto Batman, Audacious Charge is going to get used. 3-town strike as well into the Solar Snare, and actually both get buffered. But Alyssa Raven still going to be in the way. Alyssa Raven also almost goes down. In fact, the Killer Instinct is going to get popped, but now Big News could be the next target. Shockwave lands on it too, and Killer Fox is here as well. Just DPSing over top. Nassian is the last one left alive, but in this 2-on-1, that's a shutdown going over to Big News. Then Cora's able to get one, and Killer Fox able to get one. I think that's definitely a really good way to come back on the side of Monkeys.
Chrome alone was in base for that entire fight. You have to think it would have gone very differently if he was around. As we have a look back, you can see no Smolder around at all. Catches Batman here on the engage, but Raven takes so much damage. She tries to want to run away. Killer Instinct to chase. Raven's ignited as well. Cora on this rotate. Beautiful. Shockwave finds both. And even though Big News ends up falling down, mentioned before, the shutdown of Efron there. So it's really big for Big News to get these shutdowns. Kai'Sa needs a lot of gold before she basically becomes a champion. You know, needs Q Evolve, maybe E Evolve before you're feeling really solid. Obviously, you want all 3 full build, ideally. But accelerating that in any way, shape, or form is great. And I still can't get out of my head, what if Chrome alone was there? How different does that fight look?
I mean, I think it completely changes. I mean, there's a lot of those things as well, though. I mean, if either Efron or Nassian, if just one of them was able to dodge out on the Shockwave, I think the fight could have gone very differently as well. The health margins were quite low, and if you dodge the Shockwave, you dodge a lot of the follow-up that comes after the Shockwave as well. But they're not going to be able to do that. And we also saw off screen, they did take the grubs. It's 2-1 for Monkeys, so they will be able to get that in their favor. They will have, I believe that does give the feat of Monster Hunter now. Just getting those first 2. So again, that's just more stuff kind of going the way of Monkeys. Conduit started out strong, but the lead's definitely slowly but surely starting to close out.
You're right. I mean, this draft for Monkeys, outside of the Kai'Sa right now, and later on, it's completely a shotgun comp. They have a certain amount of spells to use, and once that's gone, the reload time is significant. Jarvan, Orianna, Nico, and if you aren't able to get kills with those, there isn't a ton of damage. Small News. Wow. Now, I don't even expect it. He's just standing on tower, couldn't flash away if he wants to, decides not to.
I mean, that's why I wasn't even going to play-by-play that. I just saw Small News just hanging out. I knew the damage was going to add up, and I knew Small News would eventually have to leave, but I didn't think So Easy could just off World Ender and call it a day. 3-0 in the top lane. Still doubling CS, by the way. It's 98 to 54, and we're just going to get to watch it again. And yeah, it's definitely not good for Small News.
So Easy's taking nothing. And right now, Small News probably has to flag. Maybe it's a hard decision to make.
But in the picture, I think the top blossom was already used, and now the team fight is coming through. Mom gets thrown out, but it's going to be Nasty that goes down. Killer Fox able to survive with just a little bit of HP. Slow Snare is going to get popped, but it is onto that clone. And Small News is down here as well, by the way. And the dragon is up. Nastian will be back up in 5 seconds. So if they're able to kind of pressure them out, maybe they can continue making a play. But it looks like they're just going to back up, and it is going to be the dragon going the way of monkeys. As we are having a bit of an issue here. I'm wondering what's going on there.
Well, other than while we wait for that to get sorted out, I mean, it's a second Drake from monkeys, right? This is a big deal. Like Kai'Sa, a threat in the late game. Smolder, sure, more of a threat, but how much time does Chromalone really need? We're talking like genuinely 30, 40 more minutes before this Smolder is off the rails fed to a point where Big News can't do anything about it.
We are getting word that right now we are going to potentially just be hanging out here for a little bit, maybe sending over to a break later, but this does seem to be an issue with the spectator bug, so our production will be trying to fix this, and hopefully we'll be back with you when the game starts up. But yeah, for now I'm just gonna toss us over to a break, and when we come back, hopefully we'll be right back into game 3, so don't go anywhere, stay tuned, we'll be back. All right, we are back, and we haven't missed too much. What did end up happening, those monkeys, they were able to secure a dragon for themselves, and Big News got another kill, but important thing is that one was definitely on right. That's what we call the Doom bug, where sometimes things just crashes. Actually, Big News gets another one. Chrome alone starting to fall behind a little bit, and I was talking about this being a difficult lane to play for the Kai'Sa, but 3-1-2, you're walking away quite happy with that.
Yeah, it can be a really hard lane, and you know, Smolder can generate these stacks for free, but I mean, Big News has been given free kills. Had the shutdown on Efron, while Chromalone wasn't around for the fight. Regardless of matchup, like, it's just a gold diff at some point. Nico as well. I mean, we were talking before about the changes towards Nico, where is it enough to pull her out of the meta completely? Now, in pro play, that's another story, right? In pro play, that's another story. But in anything outside of that, it's still a very impactful champion. It always has been, in fact. Just walks up, pop blossoms, and what can you do? Barrier, great tank from Killer Fox, easy dive, and that's the value, right? There's no base damage nerf there from Q. That's just, it's a super easy way of walking up and guaranteed engaging. You could do the same thing on something like a Nautilus and gank like that, but it allows you to check bushes for free, has decent enough poke, regardless of if it's been nerfed. And safety as well. You know, it's a bit underrated, but you can just clone as your ADC, and enemy team does have to think a little bit about which one's the real one.
I mean, we saw that trade though, and so easy. That's the 3-0 super far ahead top lane Aatrox that you have. And then Killer Fox just being able to land one Tango Barbs and the combo coming out from the Acathian Rain, and that's just it. So easy kind of is forced to back away. Now, they will still be able to get first priority over onto this dragon, but Batman is in the area. They don't have vision. Batman and scouted out a little bit. They have the blue trinket. They have the flag as well. The question is going to be, is Conduit going to try and finish this off? They even have the little extra stack. Mom going to get popped as well. And actually, oh, it does get stolen. Big news. The smite just was not there. But now listen, Raven going in with the quickness. But Killer Fox is going to counter into the Pop Blossom. But it is a 4v5 fight right now. And it looks like even with it being 4v5, if they're still winning on the side of the 4, everyone got to be able to trade it back a little bit. But it's just going to be Chrome alone looking to trade on to Korra. But big news. We'll just be able to win out that entire fight. That was a 4v5. Small News is still pushing on the top side. They got the dragon. They got the team fight. And things are finally coming up monkeys.
Big News continues to be the carry throughout these recent games here. Have a look once again at this dragon. I mean, look at this, how split all the members on this dragon are. Health bars are low. Mum comes in. Try to get the last hit on this dragon. Unfortunately, Kai'Sa steals it away. And even though, walking forward now, the quickness comes out. There's a 3-man pop blossom, and reflected by Efron. But that's what I was just talking about with these dives with Nico. Especially in these lower elos, or anything honestly outside of pro play. The base damage nerf isn't going to be necessarily enough. It is a big deal. But when you can hit engages like that, Killer Fox, if you think back to the Rel game, was finding amazing engages on this Rel with no follow-up. This game, Monkeys have a ton of follow-up. They've got Kai'Sa for long engages. You have the Orianna for a big burst, the Jarvan, they can basically cover many things, splitting up the fight, diving onto one target, peeling if he's landed onto this Xin Zhao after Audacious Charge is used. And the team fights for Monkey, they look chaotic, but they look more put together. Especially the health bars for Conduit at the end of that fight. It's a fight that maybe you don't want to take. Soul point now for Monkeys.
Oh, another one is going to be coming through, and they're just going to be aiming right for Carmeloma. Now Killer Fox just going to get traded back. Was definitely dangerous. Alyssa Raven was there to kind of follow up in case Big News did use the killer instinct. So a little bit of an overengage right after you were singing Killer Fox's praises, but that's what we call a caster curse in the industry.
Yep. Yeah, Killer Fox is feeling it. He's been hitting some good engages. Pop Blossom comes back up, wants to go for one more. At the end of the day, it's not going to cost too much. Flash and Ignite out of Killer Fox does hurt. Chrome alone didn't have Flash, and Efron still has Flash. The carries of Conduit in this next big fight will have Flashes available outside of one getting forced. Herald in mid quite early. Still 2 minutes on this Drake. Force out this mid tower. I don't even know if this will kill the tower here. It'll crash and do a bunch of damage, but the members of Conduit aren't around in enough numbers and enough force to really do anything. We're talking as well about earlier this matchup in top lane, and the CS gap is a huge deal, but So Easy hasn't really been able to push his lead further. No top tower, hasn't really snowballed out of control. We were able to take a quick look at the gold difference between our top laners, if that would be possible. I'm not sure it's really that impactful. I mean, 1k gold, I would imagine it's around that is super impactful at 2k. It is impactful, but 2k lead, Down in bot, it does feel like that 2k lead every time Big News steps up to the fight. 1 minute on this dragon. So easy. We've been talking about it in the whole set. First game was amazing on the Renekton. We need another performance.
But the Flying Dragon is actually going to come through from Batman. We'll take a sneeze coming out from Chrome alone. This could be a pretty interesting fight because I don't think if either of us have really brought this up, but this is a fight for soul. Monkeys have got the first 3 dragons. It's 22 minutes. They could definitely start threatening this. If they get it, it's a mountain soul. It's definitely going to help out so much in terms of their survivability. Because they're into the poke comp, it's not going to have as good usage. I believe something like Ocean might be better just because it's all chip damage on the side. They don't have any big burst poke coming out from Conduit, but it's still going to negate a lot of it. They can kind of rotate in frontliners, let the shields recharge, but right now it looks like Monkeys, they have the inside position and they have a death brush being slowly but surely set up, but it will get scouted up, but they're going to go in anyway. The shockwave going to land onto 2 Cataclysm as well, but it is just onto the Rakan, and the charm actually pulling Killer Fox away. And because of that, they could start looking for the fight, but Big News still going to get the first kill. They're now looking towards Batman, as So Easy is going to be in the area. But like you said, the damage just is not as high as what they can bring out from Small News. But instead, So Easy still going to be able to take down Korra. And Small News will be the last survivor trying to get away. The Flap not going to be able to find everything, but they have the Solar Eclipse, and they're going to be able to take out Small News. And just like that, Conduit, they find themselves a very, very big team fight. And if they're able to take this dragon, oh, but they lost their jungler, and it looks like they're going to back away.
One of the crucial parts in this is the huge shockwave, yes, but why is there a delay on the Scion TP? There is no reason to TP this late and far away as well. You're fighting for Soul, Mountain Soul as a Scion. Surely Small News wants to be around this fight. I feel like this fight goes, we said this before, you know, a lot of ifs, ands, or buts here, but if Small News just presses TP 5 seconds earlier when they're looking for the Death Rush, or even just pull Dragon, have Small News TP, but
in here. And it looks like this time around, Monkeys are not going to be giving it up. They're just going to be able to take it, but looking for the smite, but Nasty not able to get it. Once again, going to smite a little bit early, but now the team fight, Pop Blossom is going to land onto 2 Shockwave. Korra going to get the sombrero. Now Mom's going to come out over top, so they will be able to take out Batman. It's a 2-0 in favor of Conduit, and now they can take the Otacon, but that's still that permanent buff coming in with the Mountain Soul going the way of Monkeys.
I've never heard it be called a sombrero before, but yeah, unfortunately, Korra shockwaves on her feet. Mountain Soul is a big deal, regardless of, you know, whatever comp you're playing.
Oh, it's actually big news. Just taking so much damage, but Efron might be able to win this out. Solar Snare is gonna land, but walks back in. Golden Eclipse was still on cooldown, but So Easy gonna pick that up. And
oh no!
1,042 gold going to So Easy. I mean, that's not the target you definitely want, but I mean, looking at it, everyone there, that probably was the best target in the area. But that's a lot of money going towards that Aatrox, and that should definitely help continue that lane domination. Yeah. 1,300 HP, and that's where that smite got missed. And now, we're looking over at this replay. The Pop Blossom does land onto 2, but everyone in the back is just completely zoned away, and the Shockwave just not landing. I think it was the final nail in the coffin, though. To be completely honest, with the HP bars that everyone had, I don't think they were able to win that fight anyway, as we are into a pause, and it doesn't look like we've gotten much further anyway. So hopefully this isn't going to be too long a pause, as it doesn't look like it was. Oh, we are just going to rewatch this replay. So it is going to be Efron into big news. And yeah, as we can see, that Golden Eclipse is on cooldown. And I think that's why Efron wasn't able to win out on this. Manages to land that snare, but walks in. I think if the Radiant Volley was coming back off cooldown soon, it could have definitely been really good. But 1,042 gold going to So Easy. I think that is going to be their best bet. They could, in theory, just win off this Aatrox. Typically, it's not one of those champions that team fights super well, unless a good position is going to be found there, as that does happen from time to time. But what ends up happening there is that because the Aatrox so ahead, you typically, well, on a normal Aatrox game, you want to find a flank. You want to be able to come in from the side, get a couple picks early on to start the team fight that way and snowball through it. But when the Aatrox ahead, you are incredibly tanky. Your damage heals you for so much more. And again, there's just way more of the damage to begin with as well. So you're just going to be able to completely get through it. As Jay Beto, welcome back. How are you doing today? I think Jay Beto has DC'd from the Discord. Okay, Jay Beto's back. But we are on campus there. Oh, have fun there. But
Yeah.
anyway, I
Did you
think
see me
you
not shaking
might.
my head there?
Yep.
Oh boy, I couldn't see the screen yet. So there's been a pause. I saw that. I got to see the fight as well, like always. Hopefully the pause won't take too long. Bit of a fanatic pause, maybe. But I mean, the story for the rest of this game for me is the difference between big news be a bigger threat than this Aatrox. After that 1K shutdown, you're right. You probably don't want it on the Aatrox when you'd rather have it on the Mel, you'd rather have it on the Smolder, but it's still 1K over to a damage dealer. It's a bruiser, sure, but Aatrox can do some real damage in ult in World Ender. It's just gonna come down to a hand stiff, to be honest. Can Big News live? Can So Easy find the engagement to the backline? And we're gonna find out. We're back in. There will be this little pause here. The best part of the spectator pause, but I mean, it's still Mountain Soul for monkeys, regardless of how ton of gold worth of stats with that Mountain Soul.
And I think that's really going to be the main issue for them. But they do have a Smolder. So if this game is back and forth, neither side is really able to take the lead. Once this Chrome alone is able to get that execute, I think that's going to change a lot. It's only, I believe, 6.5% max HP execute, or maybe even less. But it's still a lot of HP for the Scion. It's a lot of HP for the Jarvan. It could be that difference between the Pop Blossom going off fully and the Pop Blossom getting interrupted. There's just a lot of maybes that could happen. And again, there's also the max percent HP burn. That's the infinite scaling part of Smolder now. They got rid of the other parts as, once again, Monkey's just going to take Baron. This happened in game 2, and they're just going to be free to walk away with it.
A Baron for free, seemingly out of nowhere. I mean, it's getting to the point as well where Elder's on the table soon, 3.5 minutes away. Monkey's in a position as well. I mentioned in the previous game, having to end on Baron. This is not one of those Barons at all. Kai'Sa, 3 items. Those remaining 2 are a big deal.
Quickness is going to get used as well, and Pop Blossom is going to get popped, but no one to be found. Chrome going to be able to secure that kill for the Smolder. I mean, and that's going to waste a lot of that Baron buff as well, so good pick off, I guess, from Conduit.
Yeah, a bit of over-aggression once more from Killer Fox. A bit lost in the sauce, as has been a few times.
Is going to be able to pull it back. Cataclysm actually going to be used, but Shockwave was not in range for it. Cora did not have the ball. That is going to be flash burned from Nastian, but that's just going to be the play.
Nothing else for Monkeys. 2 minutes remaining on this Baron, as you can see in the Baron power play. This is the point of the game. I'd start slow, but there is so much damage coming from both the Smolder, the Kai'Sa, and both the Mel and the Orianna. If any of those 4 find the crucial moments onto the other, they will die immediately. And the rest of the teams, Monkeys and Conduit, their job is to allow the carries to find these moments, whether it's a Shockwave combo with Batman or Killer Fox. Space for Chrome alone to do damage now that he's nearly got those stacks online and continue to scale with those stacks.
That was that sound from the 225 stacks.
Bot tier 2 getting pushed down here. And a bit of top pressure for Small News. Cracking this base will be difficult. I mentioned before, Smolder Mel, great against sieges, but they are Baron enhanced minions. Can you crack the base?
That's going to be the real question. They're definitely setting up for it, and the ball is just kind of sitting on Batman. They are ready for the engage whenever. But Baron is going to be gone in about 30 seconds. This would have been the last wave they could push with. But, I mean, they got tier 2. They got a decent amount of damage there. They're going to get the tier 2 on the top side. The gold lead is back in their hands. So it's definitely going to be... I mean, they could definitely just slowly but surely start pushing this game and kind of do a repeat of game 2. What's going to be interesting now is Elder spawning in 50 seconds. Both teams, they have to fight for this. Because everything you were talking about, where if they just need to find that one player to delete them with Elder, that could be anyone. They could go on to So Easy, they could go on to Nasty, and Elder just changes everything.
It does. It's so entertaining to watch. It's one of my favorite objectives in the game, maybe my favorite. You don't get to see it all the time. You need to get through Soul quite quickly. TP into mid. Find the value on the Aurelia. Now on this Orianna, a great synergy with the Jarvan. All summoners available, or flashes, for everyone except for Nacian on this Xin Zhao. Ults available for everyone. This is the fight you have to win to guarantee the placements we were talking about in mid. Looking for an engage. Small News still pushing top lane. Hasn't worked so far. Can it work this time?
I mean, they need to get a fight going sooner rather than later because they're going to lose their base otherwise. Then Core could have been a target, but the Solar Snare not going to be able to get the root. They've already lost their tier 3. Inhibitor's going to be next. And again, neither side's really engaging. They're not sending anyone back yet. They are going to now, and it looks like they're going to send Efron back to deal with this. So now it is going to be 4v4 here as the Mel is going to be trying to deal with this Sion. But again, Mel just doesn't have the damage for it yet. So I think the issue remains the same, and the poke actually favoring the side of Monkeys. Having that evolution up on the Void Seeker is really helping out as now Nathan could be getting targeted. But World Ender is going to get popped now. So Easy is starting the fight. Pop Blossom is going to land on it too, has the flash, but they have Big News caught in the background, and it's not going to be enough. Big News going to flash away, but will be forced out of the fight. As now Chromalo looks for the kill, but will burn down, so that is going to be that kill going towards Chromalo. Small News is going to be the next target. Not going to get hit by the snare, but the damage is more than enough. So it's a double kill to Chromalo. And despite losing their inhibitor, it looks like Conduit, they could find more. As now Cora is still alive. Same with Big News, and Big News just gets absolutely deleted. Cora's the last survivor. Solar Snare is not going to land, but they do have the Achu for the slow, sorry, as Cora is forced to flash out. So that should be the Elder buff going the way of Conduit.
Once more, Small News is split on the play, not TPing in time. The fight has already started, and Efron TPs in first. Small News is so late to this TP and isn't able to get any value. I'm not saying that the play to go for the end is incorrect, but it's the split decision from the team on what the play is. Are we going for the end and trying to break inhibs and break the base more, or are we fighting for Elder? I don't think Monkeys really know what their answer is to that question, because once again, Small News isn't able to TP in time. And Elder, now on the backs of Conduit. Baron is available, and even though Monkeys have Mountain Soul, this game might be over right now in favor of Conduit. What can you do? A team fight that's necessary for Monkeys to win. You were talking about finding members on either team that you can one-shot with Elder. It's everybody. If you are caught, you are dead. Baron's been started up. Monkeys, they don't want to hear any about it. They're in bot lane trying to get some towers.
Yeah, but the Baron take is a little bit slow, so if they're not able to get this fast enough, the side of Monkeys could definitely look for a tier 3, and they're already looking. They have the push on the bot side, and there's a double super minion wave in the top side. Now they're all going to reset, except for Nazian. Nazian looks like they want to push through mid, but they are going to come right back into this, as they will trade their bot inhibitor for this. But World Ender actually going to get popped, but again, with the Tango Barbs, there's just nothing really So Easy can do about it. But Nazian is still coming in through the side. We see it in the picture-in-picture, but the angle's just not there. I think it's smart to look for that fight since you have Elder, but the Monkey's playing the timing perfectly.
And you're absolutely right about the Baron. It takes too long. Nacian, be careful. Wanted to stop some bases, but don't want to get caught there yourself. took too long to do that Baron, and now you're down 2 inhibs. At the end of the day, that doesn't mean you lose the game at all, but it's time off of your Baron, right? Conduit are in a great position. They're in a driving position. They have prior all across the map. So easy on this Aatrox. Has been a threat, a frontline threat. Chrome alone still scaling, but wasting away this Baron and this Elder. Does it affect, like, is it actually a good thing? Because this Smolder is infinitely scaling, and there will be a point eventually. He's only got 3 items. He's only level 16, and they have Baron and Elder. Wasting away time here, I don't know if it benefits Monkeys as much as they want it to. Kai'Sa still needs two items, still needs 2 levels as well. So I understand the call. Go for the inhib, play for time, look for the next Elder. But it favors Chrome alone just as much, if not more.
Yeah, I mean, the Smolder is definitely going to become a lot stronger. Kai'Sa on those 4 items now, this is basically as strong as the Kai'Sa is going to get in terms of damage. Might get a lot more survivable. As, again, typically items like Terminus, maybe we'll see the Jack Show coming in later. It's going to be really scary otherwise. But we see the stacks right now, 297 on Chrome alone. I mean, and again, it's important to remind everyone that this isn't old Smolder. This isn't going to change the execute threshold, but it is going to change the max % true damage burn. So this is still going to be a Smolder getting stronger and stronger and starting to get close to the infinity edge. The Q now scales a lot better off of crit. So, I mean, this is going to be a very, very scary Smolder. And the more items, the more time we get into the game, it's only going to get harder for Monkeys to win. Unless they're able to pick off the little dragon.
I mean, the amount of time that Chrome alone has had, 35 minutes in, I'm surprised that it's that low. 300 CS on this Smolder. Ridiculous amount right now. But only under 300 stacks. I was expecting more with the amount of team fighting that has been getting participated in, by the Smolder. I mean, obviously more time for the Smolder will change that fact, but I was expecting 350 maybe, closing in on 400, but having a bit of a harder time Chrome alone. Maybe didn't get those stacks in the early game that we were talking about, that you were talking about mostly, due to how hard the lane was. This is going to come down to another Elder. Baron, 20 seconds until that wears off for Conduit. Elder is long gone. The next one, 1 minute 30 away. Both teams seem very happy to just sit there. And more survivability for Kai'Sa, you were talking about, could be a Zhonya's pickup, the big news if he wants to go towards that. Chrome alone, another item, could be something like a GA, a BT, anything like that. Look for this team fight.
They're going to have a lot of different objects as well. I think the main issue that's going to happen there is Chrome alone, even with those defensive items, is going to be... They're all damaged defensive items. Like GA still gives a little bit of AD. They're still going to get a little bit from the Bloodthirster. But then on the side, I actually see the potion getting picked up by Chrome alone. Currently just sitting in the 6th slot. Hasn't been popped yet, but always interesting to see. Getting prepped for that Elder fight. But on the side of big news, Zhonya's doesn't really give too much damage. It'll give a little bit during the burst, but once you get the W evolved, you don't get that much unless you're really stacking AP. But Deathbrush, currently in the process for Monkeys, but it doesn't seem like Conduit are going to walk through that way. It could be scary, but Batman now looking for the engage. The Void Seeker's not going to be able to land, as Batman's still looking for the engage. They really want to find this Smolder, but Nassian is going to get spotted out. We'll use the Crescent Guard and actually going to go in. We'll flash away. That is going to be 2 major cooldowns used. That's going to be the
huge.
flash and the Crescent Guard. Burn from Nassian right before this Elder fight starts.
You're absolutely right. 2 huge cooldowns. How can they fight?
Oh, quickness is going to get popped, but immediately
rooted out.
And the Grand Entrance is not going to find anything. They had the sign coming in from the backline, but now so easy in the backline as well. And Killer Fox will find the Pop Blossom, but look at the damage coming out from So Easy. Batman's going to go down. They do get the Shockwave, but it's only onto Illicit Raven, and this might be the game. I think Conduit Esports just off this one team fight, that's all they've really needed. They're able to get the triple kill onto Efron, and they're just going to finish off
TP for the end, Korra.
They have the wave. Oh, but right now, Korra wants to try ending it off the other side. They are going to send So Easy. They have the TP. And Cora's low, so Cora cannot stay and fight into this. That is going to be that mid lane tier 3 gone. They're aiming towards the inhibitor now. There's still 20 seconds on Big News, Batman, and Killer Fox. They have a wave, and that right now, that's what Cora needs to do. Cora needs to try and clear out these minions somehow. But again, the 3-talent strike just getting in the way, but they don't have strong structural damage. They will take out the final Nexus turret, but Big News is going to be back up, but they will take down Cora, and just a couple more hits left, and Conduit Esports, with just one team fight, they're able to bring the series back and win 2-1. And I mean, just looking over at how this game played out, all it took was that one fight. I think at the end, Monkey's just trying to force a little bit too hard onto Chrome alone. And I think that's really what was the final nail in the coffin. They got a pretty big play onto Nassian, but in the end, Killer Fox just wasn't able to find that big Pop Blossom, and so easy found such a good flank. And I think that's really what ended the game there.
I mean, Big News wasn't able to use either of the summoners to try to live through that last fight. I mean, there were some, I don't want to, be too harsh, but there were some really crucial fights there that were taken for Monkeys that were really winning positions. And it just felt like everyone was not quite on the same page, on the same call. The timings weren't exactly correct. And you asked me at the beginning of this game, whose comp do I think is harder to play? And I said I think the Pro comp is harder to play. I'm still going to stand by that. However, when Smolder starts stacking, gets Elder, and is given frontline, and it turns into a Brawly comp, Smolder will just kill your entire team, regardless of the fact that his execute is not getting bigger. It's still double execute, right, with Mel Smolder, which is a bit funny. But it's a ton harder for Big News to find the engages with such short range. Looks like going towards, I would imagine, the Rabadons, maybe could have been the Zonyas there, so still needed more time. Killer Fox had some amazing ults, but wasn't able to find them at the end. And Batman, I mean, the Jarvan first pick, it didn't find the value that it needed to. It was counterpicked by the Smolder, wasn't able to land on the Mel. There was some great, shockwave combos. But I think overall, a great showing from both teams. I think that both of these teams played really well, considering how difficult that last game was for both teams, and considering how the first game went. For Monkeys to be able to bring that back and make the set as close as it was is a really good look going into the next few weeks. And I believe I might have been DC'd when you said this, but that this is about halfway through. We're coming up on halfway towards playoffs. Having showings like this on a ton of different champions and looking really, really strong on them is a massive deal for them.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, we are actually, with this, we are just past halfway. It is a 7-week league, so going 3-1 now. I mean, that's such a good showing right now.
Yeah.
Conduit Esports, I mean, playoffs are still not guaranteed mathematically, I don't think, but they should have a pretty solid chance. And this was a team that was pretty up there as well. 2-1 record. Obviously, it's hard to tell early on in these leagues, but they should be feeling pretty good going on later.
I think that every member of both of these teams had standout moments, which is a crucial part. I think that playoffs as a whole is a time of playmaking, is when you need to step up as an individual player and make plays. I think that I could find a part of that set for all of these players, all 10 of these players. The 2v1 for so easy. Efron on this Mel was great. Chrome alone playing an amazing Sivir, some great fights. Cora, the Aurelia in the early game. Like, everyone I could pick points of the games, which again is another great thing to be able to say, I can step up and carry when needed to. Both these teams also have things that they need to work on, which is a great thing as well. Playing a set like this, winning or losing, it's close. Ton of stuff to learn from close sets. Whether it's the team fights for Monkeys, whether it's some of the early games and the comps from Conduit, I think that win or lose for whichever team you're talking about, this is it's a positive set.
And with that positive message, it is time we call it here. Thank you all for watching. We are a bit sorry this ended up being a little bit of a scuffed broadcast, partially on us, partially on Spectator, but you know what? When it rains, it pours, and the important thing is we still got an incredible set of games, and I think that's the main thing to take away here. These players played fantastic, but either way, we'll be back here with Divinity League next week. There's still plenty of other divisions to look through, so keep an eye out for Titan Esports and leave a follow if you haven't. But my name was Tokimi. Joining me was Jay Beto, and I'd like to say good night. See you next week.